Welcome everybody to Leadership Lessons Part 1. We hope to give you a few tips and inspire you in your journey of leadership. My name is Michelle Nunes. I come from Tax and Trust Professionals, and I'm really excited to be turning 20 my business turning 20 this month. And it's been a journey as like raising children, except unlike children, the business doesn't leave, which is quite nice. So when I started in business 20 years ago, I had been working part-time, full-time at another firm, and I decided to set up my own business. I had no money and no capital, a big desire to earn money because we had 4 children and my husband was out of work at the time. So it's been an amazing journey from being by myself to developing a staff, and I've been really fortunate to have really good team members and lots of hard work and faithfulness amongst my team have produced some very loyal clients, and it's been a great journey being a leader of Tax and Trust, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So if you're on your leadership journey yourself, I hope today to give you some more tips and that you'll come away feeling a little bit inspired by the journey of others that you hear. So you hear a bit about my journey, but also Eddie Tao, who works for Superior Waterproofing. It's his company. He started it about 12 years ago, and it's been a real privilege for him to be one of my clients for that whole time. Just pass on through some slides here. And now we're moving into the slide about privilege and responsibility. This is the first mindset I wanted to share today. So I believe that leadership is a privilege. It's a privilege to have my team members working for me. I do appreciate them very much. It's my responsibility to give them training, to think about their career development, to empower them to bring their very best selves to work every day, and to help them live for a purpose that's a bit bigger than just making money. And so I try to do that. It is their privilege to work for me, because I think we're a good team, we're a good family to belong to, and they have a responsibility to bring their best selves and to come with the right attitude. You can't make somebody have a good attitude. That's something that's internal. It's an internal motivation. I like the illustration of a ball being tossed through. So if everybody, if both parties are feeling like it's a privilege to work in the environment and it's a privilege to be working in the environment, then it's going to be a really friendly and more healthy balance right at the very beginning of the relationship, and that's what we want for our team. So moving on, there's 3 of the 6 essentials of great leadership that I'm going to be sharing in this particular webinar, and I'm going to be doing another webinar later to share the other 3 essentials. And so this webinar is going to cover having a plan and building relationships and serving your team. So I'm going to go through those right now. So I believe it's really important to have a plan and a vision to build relationships and to serve your team. Now, I've got 3 other essentials, which I'm going to cover in another presentation, not this one, but these 3 are the ones I'm going to cover this time. I want to talk about Alan Mulally. He's a man who saved Ford. So in 2006, Ford was a company that had lost $12.6 billion the year before. And in 2006, it was forecast to lose $16 billion. And so it was an iconic company that had become complacent from being an industry leader, and that led to a focus drift. And, most people were thinking that Ford was on its way to bankruptcy. And this man, Alan, came in, and he's become a bit of a legend for the way that he turned that company around. He was a background of an engineer, and then in Boeing, and then he led Boeing, and then he moved into Ford. So his leadership was characterized as quite revolutionary, and even though some might thinking that, a big company like that is going to cut costs and not invest he didn't do that. He really, through a vision, created a new energy in the company. And so when he left after 14 years, he was asked, what did he do to inspire the company so much? And he said, what I've learned in turning a company around is the importance of having a compelling vision. So when he started at the company, the culture was bad. There was a lot of silos, and he knew that. He had done a lot of research before he accepted the job. And so the first thing he wanted to do was pull everything together around one vision. And you'd hardly think that 2 words could save a company, but literally he created that idea of one Ford. And he got rid of Land Rover, Jaguar, a few other models that they'd taken on, which weren't part of the Ford, and then started really driving technology, energizing everybody. And he created a real team culture again, and that was the big turning around. So instead of people working independently, battling for resources, being anti each other, he managed to get everybody together on the one vision and make it compelling. He said that people want to live for something that's bigger than themselves. They want to sacrifice and do things that's worth living for. And so he expected really high standards of his behavior, of his people, and then he rewarded that. So my question to you is, do you have a vision for your business that's compelling for others to feel good about working hard for you and sharing your vision? The second mindset I wanted to share is all about the pathway to empowerment. So it's important that as you have a team, that you get to know your team members well, because the stronger the relationships are, the better the team's going to function. But it's also to remember that as a person starts in your business, you need to give them a lot of support. You can't expect to delegate things to them and that they're going to do it, really, really well at the beginning. You need to start with an idea of quite high level of direction involved. And so I hope you can see that model that looks like it's a little bit vague. I might send a PDF of it, which is a bit clearer later. But with directions, you're very clear with your instructions. You leave them for a few hours and then you come back and see how they are. You're going through procedures, you're clarifying the policies, you're spending quite a bit of time with them. And then after you've directed them for a while, you actually increase your time with them. You want to get on to managing them. So with the managing, you're expecting some KPIs. You again got very clear expectations. You're asking for regular reporting. You're having regular meetings. So there's quite a bit of involvement when you're starting to manage your team. And then it goes up a bit before it starts coming down, and that's the coaching side. And so once you feel like they're managing really well, you're then asking them for ideas for improving, and creating efficiencies and innovations. And this is, designed to try and get the best out of your team. And then lastly, then you're able to reduce your support because they're feeling empowered and they're coming up with new ideas, but they do come back to you and ask for help at the right time. So that pathway of empowerment takes a long time. The level of support goes up first and then it goes down. If we remember that, and we've got some strife with our employees because they're not doing things the way that we thought they would, then maybe we have to go back and we have to start directing or managing them better until we feel that they're ready for leadership again. So the risk is sometimes that we go straight to the lead part before the employees are really in that space. And I think that's a really helpful mindset to remember. And the last one is about serving your team. So I think this mindset's very important about scarcity and abundance, because a scarcity mentality starts from a place of distrust. And so leaders are a bit skeptical of others and believing that there's no way that they could do the job as good as what they can do themselves. And so these leaders are often grumbling or criticizing or being frustrated with their workers because they've got this ability that, that it's not going to be done as well as them. It leads to micromanaging, it has cultural problems when that starts happening. The other day I was swimming with a new friend down at the pool, and she was rushing out at 7:15, and I said to her, why are you leaving? It's still 15 minutes to go. And she said, oh, my boss, if I'm 7 minutes late, he goes off his tree. And so I can't stand that. And so she was leaving her workout early to make sure that she got to work on time. And I immediately thought of this mindset as she was talking to me, because I thought that boss has obviously got a scarcity mindset that, if his employee's late, that she's a slacker, which was obviously not the case, because she was swimming hard. And so she was obviously going to be fitter and more healthy. And, if I was in that situation, I'd be encouraging that worker to do that fitness and expecting and trusting that she'd make up the time later. So that's what the other side of leadership is. It's coming with an abundance appreciation of there's plenty of work for everybody, that everybody's going to give them, try their best to do the best for the boss and for their work, and you appreciate and your gratitude, and you showing compassion and well-being. So in a leader with a scarcity mindset down at the bottom says, how can I give less? And a leader with an abundance mindset is, how can I give more to my employees? How can I encourage them more and build them up more? So, of course, we want to be leaders with an abundance mindset. Now, I believe that Eddie is very much in that category. And so I'm going to stop speaking now and ask Eddie to share his story. Thank you, Eddie. Take it away. Is he there?
Yes, thank you, Michelle. Thanks for having me here today. I do appreciate the opportunity to be part of this webinar on leadership. Feels a bit weird being chucked in this position to sort of do this. However, I might be a little bit nervous. This is why I've got my wing lady here today. This is actually my partner, Kathy, that you see in the picture. This is her niece. They kind of look, you can tell they're related, right? But, anyway, she's just here today to just being my wing lady. Oh, and she's also one of the office admin. So where should I start? From the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So just, I guess, a background on me. Well, this picture here on the side, this was been my reason why I got into business. I ended up with my son there, Cash. That was his mum. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get on too well, and I ended up with him on my own. And he was about 3 when I took him on, and I was struggling to actually get a job where I could have the flexibility to take him to kindy and whatnot. And I got this van here. I started with this van, and I was lucky enough to have a guy that had also taken me on and shown me how to tile and waterproof. I worked with him sort of part-time over the years, and then I started with this vehicle, and then that was about 2010, I think it was. And at that time, I was a solo parent, had bad credit, and things went very well. It weren't going very well for me, and I was thinking to myself, how can I get out of this mess? And just ended up, deciding to go out on my own, and didn't have much money, and started with a few small jobs. Got a loan from my mum and my dad. Actually, I had about $1,000 to my name, and they gave me $400 each. I bought that van for $800 in Mount Eden, and $1,000. I spent 500 of it on tools, and I think I spent $50, my last $50, putting an ad in the Western Leader to get some jobs, and I got the first 2 jobs, and the second job I completely stuffed up. But as I've learnt through my journey, I've learnt from my mistakes, and I feel like my integrity, I've always, I always strive to be an honest person, and I'm only as good as my last job. So whatever mistakes I have made in the past, I've always corrected them and always fronted up for any wrongdoings that I have created. So I think just the perseverance to just keep on going. I wanted to be somebody that my son could be proud of and look up to, and I didn't want him to be another Maori boy statistic. So I really wanted to make sure that we had just a roof over our head and food in our stomachs to begin with. And as the years have gone on and he went through school, he's now 18 this month, and he's left school now and he's come into the business. It took a little bit for him to come into the business, but now he's quite serious. This is a photo of us in the Gold Coast about 3 weeks ago, going to get some more business mentoring. I'm quite an avid follower of business mentoring. I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was about, 18 or something like that. And I used to be a fisherman for about 8 years. But after I read that book, I always wanted to be the master of my own destiny anyway, and just wanted the freedom to be able to, be the master of my own time. So I guess that sort of planted the seed in my brain to actually want to be entrepreneurial. I did have a few different businesses in the past. I tried leasing quota for flounder. That didn't work out. I tried buying up whitebait down the Waikato River and selling it to fish shops. That wasn't too bad, but it wasn't sustainable either. I had a small towing business. There I learned how not to run a business. That's where I got my bad credit. But yeah, I worked through all of that. So today, I guess I started Superior Waterproofing in 2011. I think I registered and walked into Michelle's office and said, "Can you help me? Just help me." Michelle took me on. Didn't know where to start, but she put me in the correct direction to make me realize, I guess, my obligations as a business person to, I guess, plant the foundations of to run a business correctly. I guess that starts by paying tax, I guess, and declaring your money. And so I built the team today. Our location is in New Lynn. We've been here for about a year now. Prior to that, we were in Glen Eden for about 10 years, and I had about 8 or 9 crew, which I had for about 10 years, and I always just wanted to push past that. I've had this vision in my head about where I wanted to go. Just wanted to grow the business. I wanted to actually have the ideal as being to create something that I could run and that could, maybe run without me. That would be the ideal. I mean, that's where you would love to get to. But for 10 years, I just had 8 or 9 people and just kept on being at the stagnant level and thinking, how can I get past that? Luckily enough, when COVID came along, I came across a product that the other guys are too scared to use in my industry, waterproofing industry. And I just capitalized on that, and I went all out to just start using it. And that actually gave me the cash flow to then get in an operations manager and a QS, a good QS. I didn't realize how hard a QS is actually to find. I just happened to be at a build show for the supplier of the product that, helped me sort of boost up, and met the QS. And he came along and said, I don't know what you do. I don't know how to do your job, but if you can start off on a real low rate until we sort of build something up, would you be happy to do that? He said yes. And 2 years later, we're taking on a whole lot more commercial work. And we've grown the team in the 2 years from the 8 or 9 nearly to 25. I'm a big believer in systemizing the business. I really like having systems in the business. I want actually, an A to Z of my operations. I thought that was, it's not something you can actually do overnight. Maybe somebody could, but it hasn't been easy to actually build that A to Z of operations because, it's probably, just as complex as the Bible trying to put that together. And I really have sort of built up the systems that I have from trial and error. When you get into business, you think, oh yeah, cool, I know how to do the job, but then you have to become a businessman. And then, you got to start off by also employing people. I used to hire Johnny on the spot. Get me into a lot of trouble, actually. End up with a lot of problems. And then you realize, okay, well, maybe I should do a vetting process before I actually hire people. That helps a lot because it helps to cut out the, the court dates and the, the stressful situations that you can avoid before, employing people. And as I've employed these people, and doing the vetting process, I have this code of conduct that I've made up. This code of conduct sort of sets the expectation around how we work together, and sort of what's expected. And I try to explain this when they come to the company, and set that as the starting step first, so that they understand how I would like, or how we work together. Also, just recently, I guess as the team's gotten bigger, one thing is trying to align everybody with the same sort of ideal, and getting people to sort of work along the same lines and be aligned. And that's quite difficult because there could be a lot of moaning and complaining in between team members, and you might be putting out your best efforts out there, and it means nothing really if you don't actually have a core or a core values type statement. So yeah, I've done it in the past, but it didn't really resonate with me too much. And it took sort of other team members to explain to me how they think I am, and that was actually quite cool to hear. Maybe they didn't tell the truth, but it seems like, well, our core value statements, our core value statement that we came up with, which was united by integrity, enriched by manaakitanga, powered by whanaungatanga, and driven by solution-focused minds. So those are our 4 values, and that really resonated with me because, well, I guess with integrity, that speaks for itself. Just honesty and holding ourselves accountable. Enriched by manaakitanga, team believes in treating everyone with respect, kindness, and compassion. So rather than going into a full-blown argument about why something should have been done this particular way, they understand that we, need to be professional and just have the respect to, actually talk things out in a professional way. Because in a trades business, it can be easy to lead to fisticuffs, but that never happened in the past. But this is how we sort of deal with it. So we're making it more about the business rather than making it personal. And the whanaungatanga recognise the importance of building a sense of community, strengthening our bonds, and then solution focused, being passionate about creating innovative solutions, finding new ways to solve problems. So we put these up on the board, and I had each team member put up good and bad examples of each of these of each of these values, and it was actually quite revealing to see what their opinions were and how they sort of seen these good and bad examples, and that was their chance to vote on how they would like to work together in the company, and what they see as working together means to them. And through this, we've put those values, we've boiled that down to like a draft of a statement. We've put that draft up on the notice board out in the yard, so everyone can sort of see what the answers were and sort of see how revealing it actually was of what people do and don't like. And every person's had the opportunity for about the last 2 weeks to add or say something about that statement. After that's finalised, that's going to be completely how we work together, and that will be our induction, part of our induction when people come into the company. And we will refer to that about everything, and we'll ask or find examples of that every meeting or one-on-one that we have. I think one of the key things I think has been lucky for me, which I seem to have found that works for me, is I do have time for everybody. I do try to have that relationship with each person within the company. People seem to believe that I have their best their best aspirations at heart. I do.
Eddie,
Yes.
Eddie, thank you for that. That's just awesome. I'm going to have to finish up there because we said that was about 30 minutes, but thank you. So I really appreciate you sharing your story, and I want to keep working with you. You're a great person, and it's really lovely seeing how the values is really coming on right now.
I just got to say that this is quite difficult for me to jump in here and do this, and I was a little bit nervous, so I do hope you forgive me for rattling on. So I appreciate the time to just explain what I had. Anyway, just last week we ran this, one of my guys won the Membrane Roofer of the Year. So that's a pretty cool accolade to win over the whole country. So we have that title now as Superior Waterproofing. So very stoked with my team. Also my office lady, she won a scholarship. And also I am on the Brands Executive. I got voted back in for the next 2 years, so that helps. And yes, thank you, Michelle.
You're doing an awesome job in your leading of your team, and you're very inspiring to be around. And if you've ever been in a small group with Eddie, people often refer that to me, that you're a very inspiring person. The way that you have taken on board what you've learned and really applied it, and the results are showing now, both in your own team, in your own growth, and in the business financially. So well done.
And thank you, and your team, and congratulations to you guys also for your 20 years.
We're very excited. Hope you can come on Saturday. So parting thought, the leader's one who out of the clutter brings simplicity, out of discord a harmony, and out of difficulty some opportunities. I hope you've been a little bit inspired by Eddie's journey and the mindsets that we shared to continue on your own path of leadership. And we'll be doing another webinar next month. And so look out for that. Thanks everybody for coming on. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.